Good afternoon, friends, and good morning from whichever place you are joining today. It is nice to catch up all of you and happy to be here learning together. So, today, as I just informed, we are quickly reviewing another concept which is known as the Levin's force field analysis. An interesting analysis which we can use, especially when we are going to initiate change in organizations or as an individual also. I hope this may be helpful for you. So let me give you a small insight on the Levin's force field analysis. And this technique is developed by German psychologist Kurt Lewin, and he's focused on social psychology. And as you can see, his work has been prominent and very influential in the space of leadership, in the space for group dynamics, group decision making. He has mentioned in his change model where unfreeze, change, refreeze has been brought in to our use in especially when we are dealing with change. He brought in the action research approach and also the introduction of T groups. T groups is also known as training groups. So for those who are interested to know more about Kurt Lewin, as I mentioned, he is from Germany, and a lot of theories. One of his key theories: leadership styles and their effects, force field theory, then group decision making, as I mentioned, then three-step change management model, T groups, action research. Now let us move what and understand what force field analysis is. Now, we know that sometimes in our regular organizational life or individual life, when we make changes, there are some situations which will be pro to change, and some instances which are not helpful for the change. So that is what we are exploring here. So as I mentioned, it can, for example, now I just want to reduce weight. What can I do? What are the forces which are helping me and restraining me? In organization, we want to bring there is a new technology. What are the forces which are pro and what are restraining us? So as we see, as we individuals who are initiating leadership in our own change or an organization, what are they? How can we get a better picture of these forces? So as we can see, these force field analysis help us to look into what are the driving forces, what are the restraining forces, and how can we move the change, and whether this change is helpful or whether this change is something which may not be taken forward. Now, how can we use this tool in our regular organizational change or individual change? One is step one: describe your plan or proposal for change. Quite often, that is something which we have to explore. Now, when we say describe, what does it mean? What is the goal or vision of the change? So that everyone knows. And it is always good to have this force field analysis along with the team which you lead in an organization, because you get multiple perspective for forces for change and forces resisting the change. Now, as the second aspect is identify the forces of change. So for example, if it is related to, let us say we want to invest in something, let us say machinery in an organization. Is it because of, let us say, okay, we have outdated machinery, or because of the machinery breaking down, the team morale is down? Or is it okay now? New technologies are emerging, like we have seen Apple introducing a new technology yesterday. So, what are these changes or forces which are influencing us? Now, moving to the question, step number 3: identify forces against change. Quite often, it will be the fear. What next? Sometimes it can be the group dynamics in the workplace. Sometimes it can be like um, current organizational design is not suitable. What needs to be done? Sometimes it can be a lack of training in the people, and that creates fear. Sometimes it can be external. It can be political, environmental, societal, technological, or legal. So there are different kinds of forces which can. So understanding that. Now, step 4, as we can see here, is assigning a score on these forces. As we have seen, the forces which are driving and the forces which are restraining. We will just see how it looks like. So, in the next aspect, what we are seeing is what are these forces of change and what are these forces against change. And here we can see upgrade factor with new manufacturing equipment is an example. I have taken it from Mind Tools. And we can assign, for example, based on the factors. For example, in the forces for change, customers want new product. What is the weightage which we are giving? Now, for example, forces against change, loss of staff over time, or again, this leads to what? Service levels coming down. Then another force for change, improved production speed. We want more. So when we plot out which are these forces of change, which may help us or which may prevent us from moving that, we will be able to analyze which forces are predominant. And for example, sometimes we can see, okay, staff fearful of technology. How can we solve that? What needs to be done? How can maybe we improve the competency of the staff members in managing that? Will it help? So, what kind of training initiatives I should be? It may increase the cost element here, but probably that may reduce the staff fear of new technology. From, for example, as we can see, the forces is 3, the point which is assigned, and it may be moving into 1. So, even though there is a cost increase of 1, it may be reducing the forces against change and initiating the step forward. And so that is how, for example, as we can see, score each force from, say, 1 to weak and 5 to strong. And step 5 is analyze and apply. What I have to do to decide whether or not to move forward with the decision or change. To think about which forces can strengthen and which can weaken, and what can make it more successful. Again, this is one analysis. We have to use plenty of other analysis also in order to come to a decision for change. Quite often, this is a simple tool. Again, working with team will give and insights on what are the different forces. Again, sometimes, as we have seen, fear, emotions are sometimes preventing change. And again, there was a study by MIT which highlighted that emotions are data. So what can we do? Now, when we are with the team, explore with them a couple of questions. First one, what is the business benefit the change is going to deliver? Who supports the change? Who is against it, and why? And again, quite often, we have to dig deeper because there are perspectives which are not being presented quite often in meetings because of group dynamics. Ask what why are you against? What can make it better? What can make it positive? And again, we have to explore whether we have the resources internally. Sometimes we want to bring change, but change doesn't happen because we don't have resources and support members. So do we need people and other resources for that? What costs and risks are involved? What business's process will be affected? So these are influences which will be impacting the proposed change, the driving as well as restraining forces. So I hope you got the crux of what force field analysis is with this short session. In case you have more questions, be in touch. Happy to be of help. So hopefully we can meet tomorrow with another interesting and short topic which may be of helpful for you in your organizational life. So thank you for joining me, and we will connect with another video another time. Stay safe and well. So in case you need additional information or have one-on-one consultation, get in touch. Take care.